Good morning, library. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, all the other platforms this video may end up on. It's going to be a cold one this week. Going to be awake probably starting tomorrow, or technically today, on for about God knows how long. We've got a few days above freezing left, but I'm going to be doing pipe duty for the next week or so for the foreseeable future. Been a long time since I put a video up, and there's been reasons why. There's been a lot of things beyond my control, a lot of things beyond my control. So here I sit. Got everything moved around. The place is in total chaos, as you can see. Moving office, I had to set up the bed. I've got house guests coming, and so the studio had everything in the studio had to be shifted from one end of the room to the other. And so everything is like but yeah, so I'm up this morning. It's now in the 20s and we've still got a little bit of dropping to go. We're going to have temperatures around Saturday and Sunday of 8 and 7 degrees according to the weather forecast coming up. So a lot of things going on. There's been some other things in my life that have been, how should I say, unsettling. We'll just put it that way and leave it there. Anybody close to me knows what's going on. But I plan on doing a whole array of product reviews. One of the things I'm going to be doing, because I know a lot of you out there, you're into used cameras and used gear. I've got a whole swath of cameras, starting with the latest one I just got. I just got my hands on a Nikon D200. What a battleship that camera is. That is the most amazing old Nikon I've ever gotten my hands on. And I love the hell out of it. It's basically I'm using the same lenses, but it's a completely different body. It's a semi-professional body. And even with the old lenses, what that camera can do compared to the other ones I've owned is nothing short of amazing. If I ever get my hands on a newer DSLR, I think I'm going to be blown away because this older stuff is a lot of fun and it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing a review of the Sony f828, DSC f828. I think one of their best early flagship cameras they ever had. That'll be coming along. Let's see what else we got up there. We've got the SX20 IS by Canon. That one's going to be reviewed. The Nikon L830 is another one I'm going to review pretty soon. Not a bad camera. I wish it had a viewfinder. I had to get one of those dinky eye loop viewfinder hoods that you have to use on those if you want to use them in full sun, but we solved the problem, if not in a bulky, cumbersome way. Got a few other things up there. I got some oldies but goodies. I got a little HP Photo Smart from back in the day, 2005, 2004. So as you've probably no doubt guessed, I shoot a lot of vintage cameras. I got a D70 up there. Well, they're in the black right now, but I want to review that as well. That was one of the earlier, I would say, prosumer bodies they ever came out with. That was widespread among the public was the Nikon D70. That's an old camera. It's 6.1 megapixels effective. And still, that camera takes good enough pictures that I can print them all the way up. I think it's 15 by 20 is what I'm printing to. And unless you're really looking close, you can't tell that from a newer one. I've got some with higher res, but it does really great prints. And it goes back to show the quality of megapixels, not the quantity, And I can tell you a little something about that because you can get a 24 megapixel camera and it's the most garbage picture you've ever seen. Looks like it was shot through a cheesecloth. The color's all washed out and everything. So it's not the number of megapixels so much as it is the quality of the sensor and the quality of the image that it shoots. The f828, which is up there, Excuse me. Always phlegm in the mornings, and I'm talking early in the morning right now. The F828 is an 8 megapixel camera. Takes a razor sharp image and it prints extremely well, past 8 by 10. What I figured out is when you get into those larger pictures, you're hanging them on a wall. They're not right there up at your face, but even if they are, they still look good. I've got several 8 by 10s and I've got some 15 by 20s that I shot with that camera, and they look good and they print good. So that's a whole line of those things. We'll be reviewing those cameras. I got a little bit more photography gear. I'm trying gear on the cheap. And one of the ones I've got, which is illuminating the side of my face to my this side, is putting a ridge down my face because I don't have a key light in the right place. But got this thing, $49 at Walmart. That's not even how tall it goes. It's up maybe about 5 feet, but that thing, you can put that thing up over your head. Came with a tripod, came with all the mounting gear, runs on USB. I'm running, let me show you something. It's pretty cool. I'm running it with this. I've got a power bank pushing that thing. If you got a power bank that can do 2.4 amps, it'll push that. It'll run a little warm when it's at full power, but it'll do it. It really needs 3 amps. But you can't tell the difference in light output. It's actually pulling that brick to the past what it's rated at, and it's still going strong. So great stuff. Black Web, early days before USB-C. So we got that going. That's something I'll review soon. And not a whole heck of a lot other than drama in our lives and changes in our lives have been going on. And so you'll have to excuse my nose. It's beginning to run. I've been drinking hot coffee, so. Yeah. There's been new people come into our lives here and through the way of Allison's friends, and they're going on new business ventures and such. I may advertise for them at some point on my channel just to help them out. But not a ton, not a ton. Let me turn that off. That actually doesn't look good like that. I'm still experimenting with that. I haven't played with studio lights before. I've just used natural lighting in the room. As soon as I find it, it's all... let me get that. It's all right here on this little thing that controls it. You got levels of dimness. You've got color temperature. You know, I like that. It works good when you're using subdued lights in the room, you know, a little bit of a fill in. And we'll just turn that off for now because I haven't really found the ideal placement for that light yet. And I've got these little fire simulator things up in these torchier lamps. You know, so the flickering, that's what that is, you know. It's a torchier lamp. It's supposed to work like a torch, and it works real good with those. You'll sleep like a baby with those going in the room. So just a few little things. But yeah, I got that ring light. I got a couple light panels. I've got an RGB studio light that I got. A little bitty one that's battery powered. I'll be playing with that, and I'll be reviewing that. That's an incredible thing. I've done some really neat photography with that RGB. Built a little product studio box. It's basically a micro studio in there. I can photograph, product stuff, cameras, small objects. I did a lot of photography, close up of jewelry for my significant other's website that she's opened up. A few other things, and yeah, a lot of things going on. A lot of things. We're moving into territories we haven't ever been in before, you know. So I'll be expanding my photography hobby. This room is fixing to be broken down. Everything's fixing to be got out of here. And this is going to be made into a photography studio. I've got gear now I don't do a lot of videography, and it shows in my videos. I probably have not improved a whole pile, but who knows? I don't do a lot of videography beyond this vlog. It's basically all I've done. But in photography, that's really where my hobby lies and where my niche is beginning to form. So it's gotten to the point now where I'm about to start doing portraiture. I'm going to begin exploring those avenues. The hardest part of that is finding people who want to pose for photos who will let you develop your skills. I have a few people that are finally allowing me to do that, and it's allowing me to improve on what I do there. I've always done landscapes and architectural. I've done a few other things. I've done product photography, done a lot of nature photography, macros, things like that, But this avenue has not really opened up for me until very recently. I've got a camera capable of doing good portraiture in standard light. I don't have to blast people with a flash gun. I don't have to do continuous light photography so bright that it causes them to squint their eyes. And the camera's got enough ISO and enough noise reduction in it that the pictures come out halfway decent. So probably going to get into portraiture, as I say. I may even explore some boudoir photography. I've got a few things going on there that either will or won't be something I do. The boudoir photography probably won't be made public to protect the privacy of the people who want it done. And that's about it, really. Other than that, lots of cleanup. Going to be a lot of rebuilding of things, a lot of repairing of things out here. And mostly we get through this phase through the deep freeze that's coming for about a week. Hopefully I'm still functional enough to do things, because this far north, a house really ought to be built with a means of insulation on the pipes, but it was not. And it's very, very low to the ground, so there's no way to get under there really easily to insulate everything. So you have to do what you do when you live in a trailer house. My ear's ringing, and I mean ringing loudly all of a sudden. 1 minute. Dang. Just lost half the hearing in that ear. Oh, that's terrible. Feels like I got a piece of cotton in there. Anyway, getting back to it, the show must go on. A lot of things going on in that genre. And hang on a minute. There it goes. You would think building a house this far north, they would have the foresight to wrap the pipes. But when it gets into the mid to low 20s, everything starts trying to freeze up. So just like in a trailer house where your pipes aren't insulated very well, but they're built up in there, you gotta run that water every so often. So the way I handle it is I got a timer set for like an hour and 30 minutes. When it's in the 30s, about an hour and 30 minutes to the upper 20s, I get up, I run everything for 5 minutes. I can't let it trickle. My water bill, we're in the city, and you know how much city water can go to. When I was on a well, it wasn't a big deal. I could just let everything trickle. But out here, you pay for that water, comes through the faucet. So, yeah. God, I still can't hear through that ear. That is weird. Thinking it might be sinus, but who knows? But don't know. Anyway, you pay for that water comes through the pipe, so you can't trickle it. So you got to run it. You run all the water faucets, flush all the toilets. The kitchen has to be left trickling because the other thing in this old house, this has been replumbed many, 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 many times. And as a result, The pipe going up to the kitchen sink on the north side of the house is frickin' copper. So yeah, you just look at that thing wrong when it gets in the 20s and that bastard freezes solid as a rock. We've nearly had it bust, but I've managed to get it back. And before it went too far. And that always has to trickle. Always has to trickle. It's gotten so cold here, we've had to open the cabinets in the kitchen to allow the pipes not to freeze, to get the room temperature into the cabinets. The cabinets on the north side of the house become ice boxes when they're closed. It's amazing. You can put food in there and it'll chill it down. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to these single digit temperatures. I'm going to be fighting that. I'm going to be working against that. And that's about it. This is getting to be a long video, guys. Um, we got to the bottom of the cup. We're almost to the bottom of the cup. When I hit the bottom of the cup, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. But that's basically what's coming. Deep freeze temperatures, which means I can't travel. When the days start not coming out of the freezing point, I have to be on duty pretty much day and night, and I have to catnap. So during the freeze, I may do one or two more videos, I may not, but it all depends on how heavy the duty gets, how demanding things get on my waking time. Which I'm sitting here, I think I started at 4 in the morning. So I'm sitting here using some of it right now. The timer will probably go off any minute. I got it set for 1 hour and 30, as I said. Sure different. I wish I could get under this house and wrap all those damn pipes. Life would get a lot easier for us if I could. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, If it breaks, we got to pay somebody to do it, to fix it, which means they got to dig trenches just to be able to crawl under this thing. So, yeah, what a pain in the ass. Man, my tinnitus in that right ear is just going nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. It's like having a loudly ringing phone and a pile of cotton back there. And it will not quit. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to let you go. And we'll stop rambling. When there's something to do, the product reviews are coming. I'll probably do them this week. I've already started doing the photographs, the still images for the video. And I'm getting the data on the features together. Most of them I know implicitly because I use the cameras, You know what the cool thing is about Nikon cameras? Almost, and I say almost, if you stay within a model line, like let's say you go the Semi-Pro line, or you go the Coolpix line, like every Coolpix camera you'll ever pick up has the same arrangement and array of controls from one to the next to the next. There's very minor things, almost nothing different about them. They'll all work the same way. The DSLRs, fairly much the same way. I mean, their button layouts have changed only slightly. They'll move things around on you from one model to the next, but the layouts are generally the same. If you've used one Nikon DSLR, you've pretty much used every single one of them until you go back to the early days, like the mid to early 2000s, when they were still trying to settle on a button layout. For instance, the D70, which is different from the D60. Of course, that's apples and oranges. One is a consumer grade and one is a prosumer grade. Versus the D200, which has the three kings, what they call it, up on top. Your quality, your ISO, and your white balance are on a single thing. The way their dial's set up is different from the D70. I think I have to look at it again, but I think the D200 doesn't have any of those gitchy scene modes and this, that, and the other. It might, I don't know. I think it may have an auto mode. but it was a very enthusiast camera, and it takes really good pictures. It has other things, but that's what I'm saying is depending on what line you go down, what product line you go down with them, their cameras are basically the same. Basically the same. If you picked up one, you can use another one with just a little bit of a learning curve. You know what to expect. And Canons are kind of like that. I've had several different SD model, SX model. I've never played with their DSLRs. The experience I'm getting with their other cameras, their bridge cameras, they kind of make me want to try a DSLR, but Canon has a habit of crippling features on cameras to get you to buy higher cameras, which are themselves crippled to get you to buy a higher camera in more or less different ways, subtle ways. That's what I found with Canon cameras that I don't like is they intentionally cripple features to make you have to have a whole damn fleet of cameras on top of all that expensive glass. And I can already hear the fanboys screaming out there that that's not the case. I've picked up every brand of camera you can think of, even some stuff that nobody's played with much. Not just the big three. And I can tell you between all of them, I would rather shoot Nikon. And they're like, oh, no, that doesn't mean Canons are bad. That SX20 up there, that's a cool camera. The stabilization is awesome in it. But I wouldn't go into I may go into, it's just the glass is so expensive, man. The only way to get glass for a Canon when you're a budget person like me, you know, plebeian down here, middle class, is you have to either go to a pawn shop or you have to take out a loan, you know? It's very hard. The entry point into DSLR photography, you know, especially if you want to go up into a higher grade of photography, the entry point is very high on a Canon, whereas a Nikon, you can get a good Nikon body for not too much. And the F-mount glass is everywhere. Not only that, your grandpa's F-mount Nikon film camera, the lenses on that thing will probably mount onto the DSLR you have if you don't go back too far. I mean, lenses ever since the 50s on will mount on a Nikon. And they're cheap. You can get them. They're easily had. And there's some good Nikon glass out there. The 50 millimeter AFDs, any of the AFD. If you have a prosumer Nikon, you'll have a motor drive built into the camera, so you don't have to play with AFS if you don't want to. If you don't, you can go through attics and find old AFD, drive focus lenses, that'll work on that camera. And, the older F-mount AFS stuff is not expensive. You can get that all day long. And sometimes it turns up in pawn shops. The thing with Canon, if you want to do it on a budget, you're stuck with going to pawn shops for your glass 9 times out of 10. So you got to be careful what you shop for. Well, with Nikons you do too, used glass. When you get your primes, they're going to be expensive, but they're not going to be like made out of gold, or at least priced like they're made out of gold, like they are with Canon stuff. Good God. You know what a 28 millimeter wide angle lens costs? Any 28 millimeter lens on a Nikon, a Canon. Try getting a telephoto. Anything beyond your kit lens is going to break your ass if you don't have a lot of money. But I can walk around and I can find Nikon glass all over the place that's affordable to get, some of it free. And they're good lenses. There's a little, I would say, excuse me. I would say, some of their lenses have a little focus breathing, but so do some of Canon's, I guess it all depends on what you're used to, what appeals to you when you use it. But me personally, I shoot on a budget. I do my work on a budget, and I still do good work. It's not about the gear so much as it's about the person that uses it. Put the brain behind the equipment, and your creativity dictates how your pictures are going to come out 9 times out of 10. That's an old rundown cliche adage. But the other thing that's very, very true about it is your gear does dictate to a point. You can't go around with a $50 Walmart camera and expect to get good images. Unless you're trying for that lo-fi look, nothing's going to come out decently. And I know that because I've been there. I've bought pretty much every cheap ass camera there is around to try it out. And they're not impressive. They're not even close to a Polaroid instant camera in the quality of the pictures they take. So you look to spend at least $300 to $500 for a reasonable level new camera if you want to do anything other than snapshots. $300 to $500 to get you a hell of a used DSLR that's pretty high on the food chain. That being said, you can get a reasonably priced bridge camera if you look around. There's quite a few that Nikon and Canon are still kicking around out there. I've seen them, and I've tried. Like I said, I got that L830. I got it for $50. A used bridge camera in good shape will run you anywhere from $50 to $80. You'll get something quite a bit newer than some of the DSLRs out there for that price. On the point and shoot side of things, now that's where things change. Some of the Canon point and shoots are pretty good. That L830 blows me away. Fuji even, a couple of their FinePix bridge cameras, their older ones. If you're not going down to candlelight or low, where you need high ISOs, that's where they kind of suffer is in the ISO range. If you're shooting with good light, the Fujis take excellent, sharp pictures. I've got some actually on my Flickr site. And I forget what model Fuji that was I shot with that, but it had like a 35 power zoom or something like that. I was able to get some pretty good wildlife shots with that camera. But the ISO performance was abysmal, and that's usually where they fall off, is you either get like a real bluey, grainy type noise pattern in there, don't shoot in low light. That's if you got Fuji bridge camera, forget it. They use those, I think, 1/1/3 sensors, and they just can't do anything in low light. So, but yeah, as far as point and shoot, Canon makes pretty good point and shoots, and so does Nikon. If you know what to get, where to shop. They have some that are better than others. It really depended on their manufacturing process when they made them and what they used for components. I got a little SD400 sitting up there. It's a little 5 megapixel. And I still use that from time to time because the color and contrast range are smooth as silk. It's like you're looking through a window. That's so well done. Like in this, you can see like my chair. Let's see, we're mirrored. Okay. Over there, the back of my chair, right here. See how it drifts off into the blue? You don't get that with that Canon. You don't get that with a lot of their stuff. Fuji will do that. It's this horrible blue noise. But that's a great camera. And that L830, that Nikon, I haven't found anything by Nikon yet, and I'm knock on wood. I haven't found anything by Nikon yet that didn't take an excellent picture. Their point and shoots are good. Their bridge cameras are reasonably decent, like way decent. I've got some really awesome stuff on that L830. And I've printed that stuff and it looks good, And their DSLRs are, God, that ear's still ringing. Their DSLRs are right up there too. That being said, I can't afford a Canon DSLR, so I haven't gotten my hands on one to play with one. You're getting into that. It's kind of like, what is his name? Camera Conspiracy has a channel, and he does the perfect camera song. You should look that up. That pretty much explains it to a T, the differences in the cameras. But he was talking about Leicas, and it's kind of like that. I'm trying to decide between a da-da-da-da and a mansion with a yard full of diamonds that I have to water with champagne, Canon's kind of that way for the plebeian, and us being plebeians, a lot of us, who can afford Canon equipment. That's why I think you guys really need to lend your support to Nikon if you're going to get some equipment. Help them out. They got a mirrorless line out there that's coming on. You can go into the Z series. Canon's got a mirrorless line, but it's expensive as hell. Who's going to buy that other than a professional? You know, rich boy that's got a lot of money to piss away on something. I don't have a lot of money to piss away, and I know a lot of you don't. So yeah, stick to Nikon. Don't buy anything by Vivitar. Their lenses are reasonable. I've got a couple. I've actually got a Vivitar lens up in that shelf. It's an older one of those trombone types. The zoom goes in and out like this. You have that handle, and then you rotate it to focus it. It's an older one. It's a non-CPU lens that works on that Nikon. My mother had one, I think, for her Sears camera, and it was an old film SLR. They made good lenses, and I believe they still do. There's some Vivitar stuff out there that's reasonable, but don't buy a Vivitar camera, at least on the cheap side of it. Their cameras are god awful. I've had 2 or 3 of them things, and they're bad. They made a couple of good ones. They have a 5100, which was an old Vivicam. It was all right. I have one in the back room. I'm going to review that one too. That is a pretty good little El Cheapo. I may have already put that review up. I'll have to look through my files. But it takes pretty good pictures. And, they're not like super professional, razor, tack, sharp, but it takes a picture on the order of maybe a film 35 millimeter, one of those fun saver type cameras. The picture's good. The snapshots are good quality. For capturing the moment, it's a great camera. We'll talk about that one. I have that little HP El Cheapo cheese box camera. I was surprised. That's a little cheap ass point and shoot. It wasn't cheap during the day when it was out. That thing has a 4-second shutter. It takes night photos. The older CCDs got some flaws in it because of the age, but I would take that out and use it if I had nothing else. It's pretty cool. And this, guess what? We've reached the bottom of the coffee, guys. Bottom of the coffee. So in closing, much stuff. You've been rambling with Doc Chocobo. I'm happy to be your friend and talk to you. Anytime you want to have a cup of coffee and sit around and listen to the rambling, it's all good. Come on in, man. Will this vlog improve? Maybe. Maybe. I kind of like it like this. A lot of people may not, but you know what? You're an ambitious fellow. Go start you a blog. So there you go. Take care, guys, and I will see you on the flip side.